The air in global logistics right now feels less like calm sailing and more like navigating a permanent high seas storm.
Yeah.
We've been living in an era where polycrisis has shifted from a buzzword to the default state. And the hard truth is, well, disruption isn't easing up, it's getting baked into the system.
That's the absolutely stark reality check we see reflected in the data. We dove into a comprehensive survey, and the findings are pretty sobering.
How sobering are we talking?
4 out of 5 supply chain leaders expect this volatile environment, this state of high tension, to continue for at least another 12 to 24 months. So we can no longer treat disruption as, a temporary storm that will just pass. This is the new climate.
And when we dig into the source of that collective anxiety, it settles squarely on systemic risks. I mean, factors that managers can't just fix with a quick phone call.
Right.
We're talking about huge, unpredictable shifts from geopolitical dynamics, the sudden introduction of trade tariffs, and all these complex, changing regulations.
Precisely. And if you look at the numbers, it's nearly 4 in 5 of the professionals surveyed. That's over 78% who anticipate these factors will heavily impact their operations.
That's a staggering level of concern.
It is. But what really grabs your attention is that 13% of that group expect the impact to be critical. This isn't theoretical risk anymore. This is a core operational challenge, threatening profit margins and continuity at the same time.
So if the challenge is that the world is moving too fast and is too unpredictable, our mission today is to move past the worry and look at the actionable toolkit.
Yes, what actually works in this environment.
We're taking a deep dive into a crucial framework designed for exactly this market. The 3 layers of resilience outlined by logistics thought leader Ahmed Bashir.
And it's the difference between just reacting to a fire and having 3 nested, distinct strategies. You have 1 for prevention, 1 for containment, and 1 for surviving the absolute worst-case scenario.
A full roadmap, then.
A structured roadmap. It's for any logistics manager looking for flexibility, agility, and continuity in what looks like a very, very tough 2026.
Okay, let's begin by grounding ourselves in the sheer weight of the problem. When businesses were asked about their most prominent challenges, what came out on top?
The top 2 were clear and really interlinked: sharply rising transportation costs and geopolitical tensions.
And those tensions translate directly into cost, right?
Oh, absolutely. The survey breaks down the anxieties. 46% of participants expect major fluctuations in import and export costs. Close behind that, you have 43% expecting increased trade tariffs, and 40% just foresee crushing uncertainty in global trade policies.
When your top 3 cost drivers are all tied to unpredictable international policy, you realize the game has fundamentally shifted.
You really do. You can't just optimize your way out of a sudden 25% tariff.
Which is why the whole conversation around compliance has become so important. It's not some dusky back office task anymore.
No, it's an active, strategic letter. Lars Carlson nailed this when he said that customs compliance has evolved from a necessary burden into a license to play.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
It's absolutely critical for you to internalize. It means success isn't defined by having great execution after the goods are already moving. It means treating compliance as an end-to-end capability.
So it can't just be handled by a broker at the border.
Never. It has to be embedded way upstream in your sourcing decisions, your product design, even your procurement choices.
Okay, so if I'm a logistics manager issuing a purchase order for some components, what does that upstream compliance actually look like? Are we talking about origin rules?
Exactly. Take origin rules and sanction screening. If your sourcing decision triggers, say, a Section 301 tariff because of the country of origin, that huge, unexpected cost, that risk started the moment you issued the purchase order.
Not when the container hit the port?
Not at all. Embedding compliance means using sophisticated tools at the design stage to model the full landed cost and regulatory risk before a contract is even signed. You're becoming a proactive regulatory architect, not a reactive firefighter.
That makes perfect sense. And the encouraging news from what I've seen in the sources is that businesses are getting it. They know that just sitting and waiting is the worst strategy.
They do. The data confirms this shift to action. 3 out of 4 respondents are already actively diversifying their sourcing.
Building in that redundancy.
Exactly. And 3 out of 5 are heavily investing in supply chain visibility and agility tools. These are tangible, costly actions being taken to survive the next couple of years.
All right, let's use this to launch into Ahmed Bashir's framework. Layer 1, building slack for normal variation. Now, when we hear slack, it often sounds inefficient.
It does, but that's not what he means here. This is the foundational layer everyday resilience. Bashir defines it as building enough margin or bandwidth into the system to handle normal variation.
So not a rigid system, but one with a little bit of elasticity.
Like a high quality rubber band that can stretch and contract without snapping, you're preparing for the minor expected bumps that are just never 100% consistent.
Right.
Take the ocean network example Bashir uses. Layer 1 resilience means planning for the normal fluctuation in waiting time at a port, or how long ships stay alongside.
Because those things always shift by a few hours, maybe a day.
They always do. The resilient plan doesn't try to eliminate that variation, it just incorporates that expected plus or minus into the scheduling and inventory buffers from the start.
So layer 1 isn't about solving crises. It's just making the everyday supply chain robust enough that small delays don't cascade.
That's it. And this is where technology steps up. We're moving beyond mere visibility to what the industry now calls decision intelligence.
So beyond just where's my container?
Way beyond. Decision intelligence integrates massive data streams, lead time, cost, emissions, risks, disruptions all at once. It lets a manager make those rapid trade-off decisions. Do I pay more for speed, or do I accept a delay for a lower carbon footprint?
And the cutting-edge tool for creating this intelligent slack is agentic AI. We should probably unpack that term a bit.
For sure. Agentic AI is a new generation of intelligent systems. Think of them like virtual team members. They have goals, they can execute multi-step processes, and they can learn.
And they take over the repetitive stuff.
The most repetitive, time-consuming tasks that used to create friction and eat up human time. Things like comparing freight quotes, booking capacity, verifying compliance documents, tracking shipments end-to-end.
So instead of a human logging into 5 different systems, the agentic AI just orchestrates that whole workflow.
It does. And by automating those rote processes, the AI frees up human bandwidth. That freed up time is the slack you need to manage the natural ups and downs of the system. It turns a bottleneck into a flexible resource.
Okay, that successfully stabilizes the system during normal operations. But what happens when the variation is bigger than expected? When a known major event occurs?
Well, that moves us squarely into layer 2, the oven-ready scenario.
The oven-ready scenario.
This is designed for the known risks that fall outside daily tolerances. These are foreseeable events you can anticipate. Bashir's term is perfect. It's a pre-made, pre-cooked plan you can just pull off the shelf and activate immediately.
Like a specific regional dock worker strike that was announced a month ago?
Or a known, highly disruptive annual typhoon season. You don't have to start from scratch when it hits. You just grab Plan B. And this preparation is deeply integrated into strategic planning.
How so?
Well, when new tariffs or sanctions are announced, for instance, the most resilient teams immediately run these rigorous quick impact studies. They use scenario planning to test what-if cases against their supply chain map before the disruption hits.
I find that so crucial. The best organizations aren't just waiting for the tariff to land. They're running the impact study the moment the legislation is drafted.
It's about shaping the chain, not just watching it. As Amy Morgan observes, leading organizations are pushing this even further upstream. They're using multi-tier visibility to simulate risks before they even issue purchase orders.
So they're asking, what if, when the product is still on the drawing board?
Exactly. If we rely on the source for this component, what happens if that country imposes a quarantine? Mitigating risk at the source, that's true agility.
So if agentic AI drove layer 1, what's the technology upgrade driving the simulation capability in layer 2?
Layer 2 is really transforming the traditional control tower. A few years ago, a control tower was great for monitoring. It would flag alert, your container is delayed.
But that was it, just an alert.
Right. The next generation of platforms using things like digital twin technology and machine learning are becoming true decision engines.
How does a digital twin work in this context?
A digital twin is a dynamic virtual replica of your entire physical supply chain, your factories, ports, inventory, transport routes, everything. The decision engine feeds real-time data into that twin, letting managers instantly simulate those what-if scenarios.
And it does more than just analyze?
Critically, yes. Systems can be configured to automatically trigger mitigation actions. They can instantly cut freight or inventory levels in a regional hub. It moves the response time from a planning meeting that takes days to an automated action that takes minutes.
That's a huge leap. For observing a problem, having the system instantly execute a ready solution. Okay, now we have to tackle the final, most complex level. Layer, this is for the true shockwaves.
This is highest level of resilience, designed what Bashir called large-scale, sort of almost black swan events.
Things too novel, too complex to have a specific plan waiting for.
Right. Fundamentally unscripted crises.
What are the key examples we're looking here because this is where geopolitical tension becomes raw crisis management.
Bashir gives two perfect defining examples. First, a massive large cyber attack that takes out multiple critical systems at once.
Okay.
And second, a global event like the Red Sea crisis when it first broke out. You pre-scripted the specifics of that maritime disruption, but must have a framework ready to engage the minute it happens.
If you can't script the plan for that novel, what capability does Layer 3 require?
It requires established collaboration frameworks and rapid crisis team mobilization. And this isn't just the operations team scrambling, it's about mobilizing a cross-functional crisis team instantly.
Cross-functional?
Meaning you have people from operations, commercial, external communication, and, crucially, legal counsel, all in the same virtual room, assessing the novel situation and making holistic decisions rapidly.
It's almost chilling to realize that the frame for responding to a massive cyber attack and a war breaking out is usually the same.
That's the genius of it. Focuses on organizational response mechanism, specific threat. And given digital logistic has become, cyber threat exam is probably the most relevant and potentially painful risk for 2026.
The sources are very clear on this. The cyber risk landscape is definitely on the rise.
Absolutely. Attackers are using AI to automate their efforts to find vulnerabilities faster than ever. For businesses with massive digital footprints, risks are immense. The retail sector faces an average loss of over $3.5 million per breach.
So Layer 3 preparedness is just essential for survival.
Operational survival, yes.
This has been a refreshingly structured look at what usually feels like just overwhelming chaos. Bringing the three layers together, it's clear that real resilience isn't a simple fix. It's a continuous journey.
It really is. It starts with Layer 1, demanding robust data quality, move to Layer 2's visibility and simulation, and finally integrates into Layer 3's strategic, rapid decision-making.
That integration core takeaway then?
I think so. The actions for you are clear. Diversify your sourcing, use structured scenario planning, and above all, treat data leadership as a core competency. Lars Carlson emphasized this data isn't just information, it's literally currency.
Currency that pays dividends when you use AI and machine learning to analyze it. The data becomes a dynamic, strategic asset.
Exactly. It informs mission-critical decisions like where to mission inventory to hedge against both geopolitical risk and rising tariffs. And the end of the day, resilience isn't just about keeping goods moving, it's about keeping them moving legally and profitably.
We use this with a provocative thought for you, the listener, to forward this week. The most profitable resilience happens before the shock. In this high-cost, high-tension global environment, how far upstream have you successfully pushed compliance and dynamic risk modeling? Are you still mostly watching your supply chain respond to shocks, or are you actively shaping it before the next major risk even occurs? That's something worth diving into this week.